Hello all, I'm Nita. Welcome to Nita's Fluid Woodworks. Today I'm going to discuss with you what are the basics, like the basics, for getting started with wood and epoxy projects like charcuterie boards and river tables and things like that. Like this. Okay, so when we're discussing getting into this woodworking and you have absolutely nothing, what do you need to start? First of all, you need a saw to cut your slabs and square them up. So the saw that I started with was just a circular saw, and I bought a straight edge for I think about $10 from Harbor Freight. So this isn't the best, but this right here will move and conform to your live edge. So basically it goes, it shuts, you clamp it down here, and you cut it with your circular saw, okay? And this will square up your tables and all of that good stuff. Secondly, that's the basics. If you want to upgrade from that, the thing that I suggest getting is a track saw. This is my best friend. I use this and my router the most out of everything. Seriously. So the track saw runs on tracks. So here is the track, and the track saw goes on here like this, and you get 90-degree cuts every time. Perfect. Just like you would on a table saw. It's really good for cutting down your sheets, like your sheet goods as well. Okay, so one thing that I did upgrade on this track saw is these clamps. So the clamps that come with it, you gotta like turn them and twist them to tighten them and then take them off, and I dreaded that. I seriously did. So I got these universal clamps, and they fit right in the bottom, and they're quick. They go down, they go up, you can squeeze it tight. I love these clamps. I'll put the links to these in the description as well. Okay, so my second most used tool in my shop is my router. A lot of people say planers or whatever. I don't flatten wood with a planer. Basically because I have a video on this and I'm so just about it. Planers don't make wood flat. You have to have one completely flat side or make a jig for the wood to become completely flat. And this is just very, very precise for me, and this is what I prefer. So as far as the bits go, I think the bit is like probably more important than the type of router that you buy. You can buy $15 bits like this, and I'll put all this in the description. $30 bits, I started out buying the $20 to $30 bits. They were mortising bits from Amazon, but I noticed that I was buying a lot of them. So I started with a palm router, and it wasn't the best, but it got the job done, and I probably used this for about 5 months. Once I realized that this was something that I was going to continue doing, I moved up to a Triton 3¼ horse router that just died on me. This is the router that I upgraded to, which it just died, and I pushed it to the limit. I know I did. So now, as I'm waiting for my festool, I have the Bosch Plunge router that I received from Lowe's, and they sell it on Amazon too. I just needed it right then and that day. And this is going to put your forms together and put the legs in the bottom of your table and drill the holes, your pilot holes and things like that. So you need a drill, okay? I also like to use, and this is an upgrade, I also like to use this. This is a nail gun. You can get the battery powered one or the pneumatic ones. I have a pneumatic, and this is how I quickly put my forms together so that way they don't move. Once I have it at a 90-degree angle, pop, pop, and then I screw in my screws. So that way it's like stable. So this you don't need. but it's a lifesaver. You need a drill. So we have a circular saw or a track saw, a drill. You can get one of these. You need a router. Fixed base, see this, and the reason you want to be able to move this up and down, right? So that way you can continue flattening out wood. You're gonna start high and you're gonna work low. So you're gonna need a slab flattening jig. I started out, I made mine by 2x4s, with 2x4s, but the reason that I chose this router is because it had a really, this was convenient. So yeah, that's why I chose this one. But you have to be able to move this base. Okay, so that's why I prefer a plunge router, but they are probably like 1.5 the amount, times the amount. Probably 2, you can get them for $100 and some. The DeWalt one that I have on my router table comes with the plunge base as well. But I went with the Bosch just because it's what they had. So secondly, or thirdly, 1, 2, 3, 4, fourthly, you need a sander. You have to sand your stuff. You gotta sand it. It's just what you gotta do. You gotta sand your wood and the epoxy. So start with the sander. I have a lot of these little pansy ones. They get the job done, but they don't have great dust collection. So I did upgrade to a Festool. And I also have right here. So this is kind of a step down from the Festool Rotex. This has a turbo. I did a whole video on the sander. I love the sander. It is like 1/3 of the price of a Festool Rotex. But damn, is it powerful. Oh my God. So I'll put this link in the description. It is a Bosch. And I haven't even used this yet, so yeah. I did upgrade to the ETS 125 with the Festool dust collection as well. I just have yet to use it. I haven't sanded anything yet. And I've just been using my Bosch really, so I think that was an unnecessary purchase, but it was a purchase nonetheless. So one of the next most important things that you're going to be using is a dust mask, because cutting and sanding epoxy is toxic. Pouring is as well, but if you're in a ventilated area, then you less need a mask, but it's still toxic. So a dust mask, and a good one. So then you need a way to cut your form stuff down. So this is my and I'm about to build a router table. So this is my Cobalt. It's a dual bevel sliding miter saw. And I really like this one just because if I'm building a hexagon table or just something crazy, it works really good and it slides. So as you can see, I can cut thick, big stuff on here. So I really like this miter saw, and it was kind of cheap. Not cheap, it was just lower in price. A dust collection, and it doesn't have to be nothing like that. I went to my local auction and I got the rigid dust collection, and that is what I hooked up to my sander and I've used for a year. So another thing would be an angle grinder. You put a flap disc on the bottom of it and you get the drips off of the edges, but it can be done with the sander. It just really messes up your pad. It can mess up your pad and your sandpaper a lot. So a $20 grinder, $25 grinder with a 99-cent from Harbor Freight flap disc, and this is what I'm talking about. So this is the flap disc that I'm talking about. This is a 60 grit, and you put this on your angle grinder, which I think is in my other shop right now, but yeah. So a couple of other things that you can get are chisels to get bark out of inclusions and things like that. One of my favorite purchases is a draw knife. It gets the bark off of your live edge slabs and it does it fast. Clamps to hold down your stuff so it doesn't float. And that can pretty much be it. Let's talk about router bits a little bit. So they're called mortising bits or slab flattening bits. So they have ones with carbide inserts and ones without carbide inserts. I like the carbide insert because, so this one right here, as you can see in there, this has carbide inserts and it's dirty, but I use the heck out of it. So I bought that bit for about $170, I think, and the inserts cost about $8. I think one of them costs $7. It takes 2 different ones. It takes 4. It takes 2 of one and 2 of another. So each carbide insert is a square, and you can flip it each time it goes dull. So you think about this. You get a $30 bit off of Amazon, which is what I did in the beginning just because I couldn't justify the purchase. With kids and stuff like that, I just couldn't justify the purchase. I got into this to pay my daughter's medical bills, so justifying a purchase like that was really hard for me in the beginning. It's not now. So I was buying these $30 bits, which I realized I just bought 2 of those other bits. Why am I not buying these bits? Like, I'm gonna buy this bit. So I bought the bit and I have not looked back since. I do have a couple of the other ones. They have them in 1/4 inch collet and 1/2 inch collet. I will also link that video up here talking about that. And but that's it. You need a saw, a router, a sander, drills, and a way to cut your forms. You can do that on a table saw. I mean, there's different ways that you can do that. So that's the bare minimum. That is what you need. And it's in a flat surface to flatten your stuff. So when you're flattening things out with a router, you have to do it on a flat surface. I built this table out of 1 inch MDF. Is that MDF? Is that MDF? I don't know what it is. Let's see what that is. But there are things that make your job easier and that make workflow so much faster, but these are the basics. So I really hope that you got something out of this. All of the links to everything that I use and love and stand behind will be down below. I will not give you a product link to something that I have not used in any video or any blog post. I will not. I refuse. I will use it first. I won't recommend something that I have not used. So clamps, they have lifetime warranties on Harbor Freight clamps. They're super, super cheap, and you just really need them to hold your stuff down. That's it. So you can also just add weight. You don't got to do that. So I really hope this helped. I really hope this helped, and I will see you next time.